I think that's a really good question. The first week in March, as soon as it became obvious that it was a big issue and that I was hitting 5 of the high risk categories, I left Westchester and moved up. And for 4 months, I lived in our house up there by myself. Even my wife was not coming up because she did not want to infect me if she had been exposed. Finally, we made a decision for July 4th weekend that the immediate family, myself, my wife, our son, his wife, and our first grandchild, who I had seen pictures of but never held, and our daughter came up from Austin, Texas, where she's at the University of Texas getting a PhD in special ed. She drove up because she didn't want to get on a plane. And 4 days later, she was there in time. And she really wanted to see her nephew. So it was a wonderful occasion, and we had a great time together. So, and then I, once my wife was there, she stayed. And so we had 2 more months of this time together in our upstate house, safe. Senior hours at the local grocery store, 6 a.m. Fortunately, I'm very much of an early morning person. And so I would see 2 people and the cashier. Masked, obviously, everybody socially distancing and wiping, in the beginning, wiping down everything I got from the grocery store to make sure it didn't have any kind of COVID on it. And I have eventually in September went back down when things were looking better. And then we had the worry in terms of Thanksgiving. So our daughter, because all her classes at UT were virtual, she just stayed with us because it was a lot safer up here in a rural county in New York than it was in Austin, where the governor was not doing any masking, was just, so she stayed with us through Christmas. And in August, we all went out to Quincy, Mass, where our son and his wife and our grandson, because their daycare, they'd had 2 employees come down, test positive for COVID. So we needed to become the daycare for our grandson while they both worked virtually, which was absolutely wonderful. After Christmas, I went down until we saw the surge, and I came back up and said, I'll be back when it's time for vaccinations. And I had my first, actually I had both doses in February, a little over 2 weeks ago. I had blood drawn yesterday to see if with a half an immune system, whether the vaccines would have worked. And with a test that is done under EUA, emergency use authorization from the FDA, it's not a standard test, I did show positive for the antibodies. So I am okay. So next week, I will be moving back down to Westchester. I will stay double masked and socially distance and washing my hands and sanitizing, et cetera, et cetera. But we are starting to open up down there. I happen to have been the chair of the residents council that for 2 years that ended in November. And my vice chair is now the chair, and I am his vice chair. And so we're still keeping track of everything, and 95% of the residents plus have been vaccinated, gotten both doses. So I'm feeling very safe down there, and will enjoy being back.